Ravi Shankar Prasad ji is a legal luminary, so he is well adept of elucidating the pros and cons of the amendment. There is no doubt of it. But I move the statutory resolution to disapprove the ordinance mechanism, because ordinance could be resorted only in the extraordinary situation, in a emergency situation, in when it was felt that it was absolutely necessary. So these are the issues that have been long debated in the parliament also. Even Mavalankar, the speaker of this house, once exhorted that the issue of an ordinance is undemocratic and cannot be justified except in extreme urgency or emergency. I do not find any cogent argument. The fact is that even after ferreting out the rationale behind the promulgation of the ordinance, I have failed to substantiate and subscribe to the view of Honorable Minister that had warranted the promulgation of ordinance. Yes, legal luminary like Ravi Shankar Prasad ji must have smart and disingenuous sophistry at his arsenal to convince us that yes, this is the path which needs to be persuaded. But the fact is that the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Ordinance 2020, as has been stated, was promulgated by the President of India on November 4, 2020 to amend the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 with an aim to ensure all stakeholders to enjoy the opportunity to ask for an unconditional stay in case the arbitration agreement or arbitral awards are tainted by fraud or any corruption. This is the basic and fundamental aspect of this legislation. Three features of this legislation I would like to allude: that it is intended to stay on enforcement of award. The court stems the power from Section 34, you have rightly pointed out, of the Parent Act, which empowers court to set aside arbitral awards. Second feature of this legislative document lies in the retrospective application. It has inherited a retrospective application from October 23, 2015 onwards. Third aspect of this legislation is qualification of arbitrators. Section 43 of the Act has been substituted to provide that the qualification, experience and norms for accreditation of arbitrators shall be such as may be prescribed by the regulation. The newly amended Section 43 accordingly omits the 8th schedule of the Arbitration Act, which laid down eligibility requirements for arbitrators. Sir, my point is that already our judiciary has been burdened with a heap of litigation and other cases in terms of fraud, corruption, etc., etc. Whether it will not further exacerbate the burden of our judiciary, as people used to like arbitration instead of going to court because of time and space dimension, because any solution through court is always meant for time consumption. So people used to prefer arbitration and conciliation. Yes, we are developing. We are striving hard to make ourselves a developed nation. And in a developed nation, certainly, we must have some ambition. One ambition could be that we should have international arbitration facilities, institutional arbitration facilities. We should strive for turning more and more institutional facilities into the service of the common people. But, Honorable Minister, I am simply drawing your attention that the bill through the amendment to Section 36 may open up floodgates for an exponential growth of frivolous litigation and attempts by parties to stall the operation of an award. Because in India there is no dearth of unscrupulous elements. So they may exploit this door in order to hide their intention. And it may further cause the wastage of time in the court. Second, superfluous amendment. Why I am saying it? That the objective of the bill is unnecessary, considering that relevant pre-existing remedies already exist under the Parent Act. The amendment merely specifies what has always been inherent in the Parent Act and is superfluous. Section 34, subsection 1 plus B already provides that any arbitration award induced by fraud or corruption, that very term used by you, any arbitration award induced by fraud or corruption would be against the public policy of India. It has already been enshrined in the Parent Act. Under Section 36, subsection 3, parties to an arbitration award already have the right to appeal for an unconditional stay on grounds under Section 34. The amendment therefore creates an additional entitlement to an unconditional stay. Section 36, subsection 3 also inherently grants the courts with the power to issue unconditional stays as it may deem fit. So it is like carry coal to Newcastle. Second thing, third issue is that the bill is directly at loggerheads with the 2015 amendment, which aimed at improving the arbitration landscape by cutting down on frivolous litigation and implementing investor-friendly measures. आपने क्या कर रहे हैं, फिर दोबारा इसको कॉम्प्लिकेटेड कर रहे हैं. आप एक तरफ चाहते हैं कि हम यूजर फ्रेंडली बने, दूसरी तरफ इन्वेस्टर फ्रेंडली बने, दूसरी तरफ इसको बर्डन करने भी दिशा में आप आगे निकल रहे हैं. Setting up of Arbitration Council of India, in abbreviation SCI, the changes made to Section 43 are pointless without the establishment of ACI. The body tasked with drafting regulations under the Parent Act. The operability of the proposed amendment is virtually redundant unless the relevant rules to set up the ACI are notified by the Ministry of Law and Justice, for which comments were invited in March 2020. But no further action has been taken. You have not set up ACI. You are talking about accreditation policy, as if you are counting chickens before the eggs are hatched. There lies the problem. I do not know why you were feeling so haste in bringing the ordinance, in promulgating the ordinance, without preparing yourself adroitly. There lies the crux of the problem. I am also drawing your attention that in September 2020, mark it, in September 2020, the government informed the Lok Sabha that it did not maintain data on arbitration matters. It stated that, however, in order to address the issue of non-availability of data in arbitration matters, the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Act 2019 has inserted Section 43K, which mandates Arbitration Council of India to maintain depository of arbitration awards made in India. Further, data on pending arbitration matters in courts statewide is being collected and will be laid on the table of the House. So if the government, my question is, if the government does not even maintain data on arbitration, how can it realistically enhance the adoption of arbitration as a preferred mode of dispute resolution? क्या हुआ मैडम, हो गया? आप मैडम इतना कंजूसी करने से कहाँ जाएंगे?
बिल्कुल कंजूसी नहीं, बाकी सब ने भी बोलना है. आपका जो समय है वो
The
11
eighth
मिनट
मैडम हो गया. The eighth schedule is being omitted through the ordinance, which lays down qualification for arbitrators in India. Given that the schedule was not in force yet, what was the need for bringing out ordinance? मैं हमारी देश की कुछ नौजवानों की आशंका जता रहे हैं रूबी जी. Besides the eighth schedule introduced by the Amendment Act 2019, had given a ray of hope to the professionals working in different domains like advocates, chartered accountants, company secretaries, cost accountants, etc., to have a chance of becoming an arbitrator. These become a reason for celebration for such professionals and for their institutions as well. As I am told, some of these institutions even had started courses on alternative dispute resolution to make these professionals capable to accept the challenge if they were appointed as arbitrators. This move was also appreciated and welcomed by the domestic international arbitral fraternity, considering that it might have brought a phenomenal change in Indian arbitration, where prominently arbitrators are appointed from retired judges, leaving virtually no scope for other professionals to develop as arbitrators. However, it appeared that their joy was short-lived. There is a general guesstimate that the eighth schedule was acting as a barrier in the way of appointment of foreign national arbitrators. Foreign national arbitrators, and as such made this untimely fate. If it is the precise reason, it could have been achieved by minor amendment in the schedule instead of omitting it. The omission of eighth schedule in entirety is highly disappointing for all professionals and experts who are fit to be appointed as an arbitrator as per the parameters set therein. Undoubtedly, the move to make arbitration-friendly atmosphere among the litigants and the professional has got a setback by omission of the eighth schedule. So, I know that you may have some sort of compulsion to bring this ordinance. But again, I will insist you and implore you that you should reconsider this matter afresh so that the loopholes, if are found out, could be plugged off. Number of issues are there which I need to draw your attention. Number one of such concerns expressed by me is arbitrarity of cases of oppression and mismanagement. The bill lacks provisions to address the cases of oppression and mismanagement, especially the cases of mismanagement cannot be left to the arbitral awards. Instead, the judiciary must handle it. Our country witnesses a lot of willful defaulting of such cases. These can be manipulated as the cases of mere mismanagement, which could be brought under the purview of the arbitrator so as to evade the court. This is the apprehension expressed by me. Section 44, Achha, madam, okay, if there is a shortage of time, I will later, in my right to reply, I will put more issues. Ravi Shankar ji, मैं एक लास्ट एक मुद्दा आपको एक मिनट. You are well aware that in our country there is an existence of competition commission. Whether the objective as has been intended by this legislation could not be served by our competition commission. If not, why? Whether we are not being able to equip our competition commission, which has already has earned the credibility and credentials in dealing with the cases that could not be further consolidated and buttressed so as to make them more friendly to the investors, more friendly to the arbitration and conciliation issue. These are to be responded by you. Again, during my right to reply, I will again try to draw your attention further.
श्री सुभाष बहेरिया जी.
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदय. आपने मुझे बिहार